The cafeteria was almost empty, its air thick with the stale scent of coffee and quiet despair. Rain traced trembling paths down the window panes, blurring the gray world outside. Daniel sat alone at the corner table, staring blankly into his untouched cup, his wedding ring still on his finger though his wife had been gone for nearly a year. His world had crumbled in silence, first with the cancer diagnosis that took his wife, and then with the hollow routine that followed. Every day he came to the hospital not because he needed to, but because leaving it behind felt like letting go of the only place she still existed. That morning, as he rubbed his weary eyes, a small voice broke the stillness. "Excuse me, can you open this?" Daniel looked up. A little girl stood before him, no older than 7. She wore an oversized blue sweater and a matching knit hat that swallowed her tiny frame. In her hands was a small wooden box decorated with daisies. Her eyes were bright but tired, the kind of tiredness that didn't come from lack of sleep, but from life itself being too heavy. Before diving deeper into the story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Daniel blinked, unsure if she was really talking to him. "It's stuck," the girl said softly, holding up the box again. "Mom said I should open it when I meet someone who looks sad. She said they'd help me." The words hit him like a whisper from somewhere beyond reason. He stared at her, this frail little stranger, speaking words wrapped in quiet mystery, but he took the box gently. The wood was worn and smooth, the hinges rusted from time. "What's your name?" he asked. "Nia," she replied. "Mom left it for me before she went to heaven." Daniel's throat tightened. He tried to pry the latch open, but it wouldn't budge. The box seemed sealed not just with metal, but with memory. As he worked on it carefully, Nia watched him with wide, trusting eyes. Outside, the rain continued to fall, steady, rhythmic, like the beating of a heart. Finally, with a soft click, the latch gave way. Inside lay a folded letter and a small locket. Daniel froze. The locket looked eerily familiar, delicate silver with a tiny engraving of a daisy, just like the ones his late wife used to draw in her journal. He felt his chest tighten. Hands trembling, he handed the letter to Nia. "It's for you," he whispered. But Nia shook her head. "Mom said the person who opens it should read it first." Daniel hesitated, then unfolded the paper. The handwriting was neat but faint, as if written with fading strength. "Dear reader," it began, "if you're holding this letter, then you were meant to. My name is Alara. I wrote this knowing I may not be around when my little girl needs me most. If she has found you, it's because I told her to look for someone who carries pain quietly, someone who has lost, just like we have." Daniel's breath caught. His hands shook as he continued reading. Alara. That name. His mind raced. He had known an Alara once. Years ago, before his marriage, the one who had taught him how to love again after his own childhood trauma. They had parted ways peacefully when life took them in different directions. Could it be the same woman? The letter went on. "To the kind soul reading this, I ask for one thing. Please don't let my daughter face the world alone. Teach her to laugh again. Tell her about the stars, and how even the ones that die still shine for years after they're gone. I told her that's how love works. It doesn't disappear. It lingers. It becomes light." Daniel's vision blurred. The cafeteria around him disappeared. He could almost hear Alara's voice again, gentle, warm, full of life. He looked up at Nia, whose small hands were folded over the edge of the table, eyes brimming with hope and innocence. "Do you remember your mom's last name?" he asked quietly. She nodded. "Alara Winters." The world seemed to tilt. It was her. The woman who had once shown him kindness when he was at his lowest, now reaching out through her daughter years after she was gone. Daniel felt an ache so deep it almost broke him. This little girl wasn't just a stranger. She was a part of someone he had once loved deeply, someone who had taught him to see beauty even in brokenness. He took a deep breath and looked back at the letter. At the bottom was a final line. "If you find her, tell her I love her enough to have trusted life to bring her the right person, someone who knows loss, but also knows how to love despite it." Tears streamed down Daniel's face. He couldn't speak. He simply reached across the table and held Nia's tiny hand. The warmth of her touch, fragile yet steady, felt like a heartbeat returning after years of silence. In the days that followed, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about Nia. He learned that she was a patient at the children's ward, battling a rare illness. Her father had passed away when she was a baby, and she had no other family left. The nurses said she was often quiet, but kind, always giving away her art, her little handmade cards, her smiles. Daniel began visiting her every day. He brought her books, puzzles, and stories about his late wife, Emily. He found himself laughing again, something he hadn't done since Emily's passing. Nia would sit by the window, painting pictures of flowers and stars, and Daniel would tell her how Emily used to believe that daisies were Earth's way of smiling. Slowly, their shared pain began to weave into something new, something like healing. Weeks turned into months. Nia's condition worsened, but her spirit remained radiant. "Mom said I should always find light," she once told Daniel, "even when it rains." They spent countless afternoons watching the rain, sitting by the same cafeteria window where they first met. The world outside would blur into watercolor shades of gray and blue, and in that quiet, Daniel found peace he hadn't known was possible. One evening, as autumn leaves fell like soft whispers outside, Nia handed him the locket. "It's yours," she said. "Mom said it belonged to someone special before she got it. Maybe it's time it goes back." Daniel opened it, and inside was a tiny photo, a much younger Alara, smiling beside him from years ago. He hadn't even known that picture still existed. His heart broke and healed all at once. He hugged Nia gently, tears falling onto her hat. "Thank you," he whispered. She smiled up at him, weak but glowing. "Mom said love doesn't end. It just finds new places to live." That night, Daniel sat alone in his car, staring at the hospital lights. He realized something profound. Alara's gift wasn't just the letter or the locket. It was Nia herself. Through her, Alara had given him one last chance at purpose, at fatherhood, at love that went beyond loss. Months later, Nia's condition took a turn for the worse. Daniel stayed by her side through every test, every sleepless night, every moment of fear. He held her hand as she drifted between dreams and reality, whispering stories about daisies and stars. And one quiet morning, as sunlight broke through the clouds after a long rain, Nia looked at him with tired eyes and said, "You kept your promise." Daniel smiled through his tears. "Which one, sweetheart?" She whispered, "You didn't let me face the world alone." When she closed her eyes for the last time, Daniel felt the unbearable weight of goodbye, but also, somewhere deep inside, a flicker of peace. She had brought him back to life, just as her mother once did. In the years that followed, Daniel founded Nia's Garden, a small charity that delivered comfort boxes filled with daisies, letters of hope, and small gifts to children in hospitals. Each box carried a note. "You are loved, even by those you've never met." He often returned to that same cafeteria window on rainy days, placing a daisy in a small vase by the seat across from him. And sometimes, when the light hit just right, he could swear he saw the reflection of a little girl in a blue sweater smiling back at him. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that love can reach across time, pain, and even death, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps more people remember that kindness and compassion can change lives in ways we can't always see.